For lashing, we need a piece of 1/4 inch flat oval ring. We're going to do a basic lashing, which means a whip stitch in between each set of stakes. So there's a space under the top row of weaving. If you lift up the rim, you can see that top row. We're going to lift or make a space between these two stakes and put a stitch in between each of these stakes under that top row of weaving. The seagrass is going to sit right on top of the cut and tuck section. We're going to squish this nice and tight together to try to cover that area up and have the seagrass fill that gap so that it covers those raw edges. So grab an end of your weaver or your lashing reed, and with the rounded side facing up or against your finger like this, we're going to send this just around the inner rim piece. So tuck it between the inner rim and the basket, and then loop this up around the bottom edge so that it sits like this, fold it up, and then take this end and send it back between the basket and the inner rim. So we're creating a loop around the inner rim. Pull on both ends so it's nice and secure. This end is just going to hang out inside there for now. We're going to take this end and start the lashing. To lash, you're going to set your basket on its side and grab your lashing reed so that the rounded side is against your thumb. Pull this through your hand, making sure that the rounded side stays facing up against your thumb through the whole length. So then, holding this with my thumb and forefinger so that it doesn't get twisted, I'm going to come in between this stake here and this stake here, put my packer between those two rows, and send this in there so that it goes around all the rows. The outer rim, the basket itself, that top row, the inner rim, and the seagrass, and then I'll pull through. Pull nice and snug. When you get back to the beginning where you started, there's this little gap where we did that initial loop. I like to do one more stitch into the same space over that first loop in order to close that gap up. So I'll just place this next to or on top of that first stitch, and that tightens that up so that it's nice and tight and hides the cut and tuck a little bit more. Then I'll take my packing tool, send it into the inner rim so that the tool comes out into the basket, and then follow that tool with my piece of lashing, the 1/4 inch wide, and pull this into the basket. Pull tight so it's looped around that inner rim, and then both of these ends I'll cut down to about 1 inch.